Hello, welcome back to Twilight Pathways. I'm taking my 1000 Suns for a spin against Imperial Knights Admech, 2000 points. We rolled one of the new chapter approved missions, called Tactical Cascade. Basically, you pick 2 objective cards at the start, then each turn you draw 2 more for every objective you scored in the previous turn. At the end of the battle, you lose 1 VP for every 3 unscored objectives in your hand. Pretty neat. Let's take a look at the lists. Knights chose the deployment type, then I deployed first and got the first turn. Looks like my investment in the changeling won't help much in this game, and the loss of 1 CP hurts, but he could have proved invaluable had I not gone first. Here's my deployment, with Magnus heading up Harriman, a prince, and the changeling. The other prince is way at the back, with the Zandgor blob, because I thought the dark matter crystal worked like the Necron teleporter relic, and teleported the character as well as the unit, cause I can't frickin' read.
There's been a big mistake.
Oh, well, learn the hard way I guess. Here's the Knights Admech. Let's get straight into it. I choose Vengeance long awaited, and master the warp. Hoping for a solid 2d3 VPs, in the first turn, Magnus and the other characters surge forward. The prince at the back teleports the goats right in front of the warglaves, which are just out of shot on the left of the picture. The other demon prince flaps forlornly forward towards my rubrics. Now, my opponent has no denies in the psychic phase, but he does have a stratagem to flat out cancel a psychic power on a 4+. He obviously wants to save it for warp time, hopefully stranding Magnus or leaving him with bad options. I get Magnus's full defensive catalog off, as well as demonic strength on him. Warp time goes off, my opponent triggers the strat, and fails. He CP re-rolls, and fails again. Magnus soars towards the backfield, and should have an easy charge on the baby knight.
Yeah, boy.
In shooting, I do pretty much bugger all, despite prescience on the predator. So, Magnus charges, and fails. No biggie, I use Gaze of Fate. Doesn't help. I frantically use my CP reroll. That doesn't frickin' help either. I only needed like a 6 or 7, and Magnus let me down. A failed charge.
That's the kind I always get.
And before you complain, due to the building, it was about the same distance to the infantry unit anyway, plus I didn't want to take Overwatch from their plasma shiz. Well, the Zandgors get in on one of the warglaves, so I guess I don't always fail my charges. I play Veterans of the Long War, and do 9 wounds, and here's his frickin' save roll, with a 4-up save, making 8 out of 9. I can't complain too much though, because I pass 4 out of 5 of my 5++ saves. This combat could last a while, so I get a couple of points from Master the Warp. For his first objectives, he had chosen Witch Hunter and Big Game Hunter. I wonder what single-stranded target will net him both of those. Not a lot of movement. Shooty Knight stays back. Hitty Knight heads for Magnus. Electro Priests also come forward. In shooting, even with the Crusader doing extra damage with its relic, and everything targeting Magnus, holy shit, I make so many saves. Magnus only takes 7 wounds. Still, if the Gallant makes its charge, Magnus could still be at risk. And, it does make the charge. Its feet can do mortal wounds, so it opts to kick him, and it forces a metric shit ton of saves. In the end, Magnus survives, with 1 wound left. Praise fucking Tazinge. Nearby, these nasty little priest buggers get the jump on my prince and do a bunch of wounds to him, but between him and Ahriman I think I can deal with them next turn. And on the other side of the board, the other warglaive charges in to help out, and we each take a few wounds, but neither side has the upper hand yet. Due to Magnus's unbelievable tenacity, Knights score no points in the first turn. I scored an objective last turn, so for turn 2 I now draw 2 cards, Power of the Cabal, and Advance. Power of the Cabal could net me tons of points. My turn 2 movement. Everyone moves up enough so that I can score advance. Ahriman is closest to the gallant, for smighty good times.
I expose people to magic.
Magnus did 12 wounds to the knight in combat last turn, and a couple had been chipped off previously, so it only has 10 left. I try to warp time away but it gets denied by the strat. I cast a ton of other spells, though, including several smites and other damagey spells, and Magnus delivers the coup de grace to the gallant with a smite. Unfortunately he wasn't able to heal, so only has 1 wound left still. Freed up in the charge phase, though, he does make his charge against the baby knight this time, and even with a depleted profile he turns it to scrap without breaking a sweat. The little bastard was obviously booby-trapped, though, because it blows up, robbing Magnus of his last wound in the process. Ah well, 1.5 knights is not too bad, I guess. Ahriman makes a charge into the priests, and with the prince they slaughter them, although the prince now only has 1 wound left, cause he periled earlier. And over here, one of the warglaves is nearly dead, but they've cleaved through quite a few of the goats by now. I didn't mention shooting, cause all that happened was the Predator did a couple of wounds to the Crusader. Ah, are you wondering where my Terminators are? You know, that big fuck-off unit waiting in reserve? I forgot to deep strike them this turn.
Ta-da!
Unbelievable.
Come on.
So this turn I really racked up some points. 4 from Power of the Cabal, 1 from Advance, and 3 from Vengeance long awaited, putting me on 10. Having achieved their other cards, here are Knight's 4 new ones. Objectives 1 and 3 are too far away for them to get at the moment. So Knight's turn 2 movement, the Crusader comes forward a bit, and the surviving Helverin comes around. Then in shooting, my Predator, Wounded Demon Prince, Ahriman, and Rubrix, are all ruthlessly mowed down. Yowza. Over here, the goats finally drag down one of the hated warglaves. But its brother reaps a terrible tally in return, slicing up 5 goats and leaving just 5 left. At the end of battle round 2, Knights are on 7 points, and I'm on 10. My turn 3. Having scored all of my cards last turn, I now must draw 6. I draw. Behind enemy lines, no prisoners, secure 5, defend 4, and ritual slaughter. I like the sound of that last one, so I bring in the Terminators over by the warglaive. I forgot to mention that we're using the beta bolter rules in this match, but it hasn't come up till now, as my Rubrix did fuck all then died. My surviving prince comes forward, and the cultists run to secure objective 5, which you can just see in the bottom left of the picture. I split fire judiciously with the Termies, and they absolutely hose down all the Admech infantry here, as well as damaging the Helverin with their missile racks. Unfortunately they failed their charge into it, and I have no CP left. The Zangors are still hacking desperately at this bugger, but it's gradually eating through them. So, I score ritual slaughter, secure 5, and no prisoners, putting me on 13. I couldn't quite get behind enemy lines. Knight's turn 3, and the Crusader sizes up the Demon Prince, takes a run up, and boots it back into the warp, as the Changeling looks on, in either shock or amusement. Somehow, this combat is still raging on, with neither side willing to die. I don't have a picture of Knight's objectives this turn, but I do know they are now on 10 points, to my 13. My turn 4, and I have to draw 6 cards. I won't list them all. Basically the only ones I can score are Mission Critical Objective, which I conveniently roll a 5 for, the Wrath of Magnus, and Behind Enemy Lines which I already had. The Changeling moves up and smites the one infantry guy, scoring me the Wrath of Magnus. The Terminators plod towards the Helverin, with their pathetic 4-inch movement, and promptly roll Snake Eyes for their charge. Fuck's sake.
I'm seriously considering locking myself in a closet for the rest of my life.
I get lucky and get 3 points from Arcane Right. I score behind enemy lines, and the cultists are still on Objective 5, so I get 1 from that. With my 2 points from defending Objective 5 as well, I am now sitting on 20 VPs. Maybe I can pull this off even if I get tabled. Knight's turn 4, and he draws a bunch of cards this turn. There are quite a few easily attainable ones here, as well as Supremacy. His lackluster luck with the cards is finally changing. The Gallant stays in the middle of the board, to claim Mission Critical Objective. He wipes out my useless Terminator squad in shooting, netting him a grudge to settle. He nets a couple more points too, and ends turn 4 on 14 points. My turn 5, and all I have left now is the Changeling and 1 cultist. I have to draw a bunch of frickin' objectives but the only one I can possibly score now is Assassinate, so the Changeling makes a long bomb charge into the Engine Seer. I don't manage to kill him, and next turn I get tabled. Knights score a few more points from objectives and whatnot. I roll to continue and roll a 2, so the game ends there. I have 20 points, and knights have 19.
Wait. There's more.
As per the rules, we now deduct 1 VP for every 3 unscored cards in our hand. I end up losing 3 points, and knights lose 1, reversing the standings and putting knights on 18 and me on 17. Knights win by 1 point.
You have been defeated!
Wow, that was a fun battle. In fairness, I rolled consistently well for most of my D3 victory point cards, which kind of inflated my score anyway. It was so tense at the end. Well, I could ramble on, but if I do I'll exceed the arbitrary time limit I set myself. Thanks for watching.